Hi everybody, I'm Allison Williams, the Library Services Coordinator, and I am just so pleased to welcome Judee Edmonds tonight for Energy Medicine for Skeptics. And Judee is a former educator and counselor with 35 years of experience in Tucson, Arizona, and having studied the human energy field since the 1990s. She began her practice of energy medicine modalities when she moved to Bisbee in 2005. And Judee is a part of the Bisbee Holistic Wellness Center and other groups here in Bisbee, and her education and knowledge base is, a long history of delving into this field. But what I really love about Judee coming to present to us is the idea of for skeptics, right? What does it mean? There's a lot of woo-woo, it's metaphysical, or this alternate kind of description that prevents us from really acknowledging and looking at the science, and also how science is always moving forward in its discoveries. And so I feel like there's a historic kind of skepticism, but in fact, the scientific world has really moved forward with so many of what we call alternative. But I will turn it over to Judee. Judee, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if you want to share the screen.
Okay. So, how do I get it just to the full screen?
You're just going to go up to slideshow and play from first slide.
Oh, that's right. Okay. From the beginning? All right, there we go. Hi, skeptics and non-skeptics. I hope to stretch your minds a little bit tonight and even create some curiosity about energy medicine. If nothing else, I hope to give you a little bit better understanding about energy medicine, and whether you believe it or not, hopefully you'll go away with this a little bit intrigued. So keep an open mind, if you would, as I share what I've learned over the past years, and also all the new research that I've gotten together in the last few weeks. It's blown my way. So I'm curious, how many of you out there are skeptics? Do we have any skeptics? Anybody? And how many of you have actually tried an energy medicine alternative practice? Have some of you tried? Okay, so a lot of you have. Do I have any practitioners out there? How many people are actually? Oh, good, good. All right, that is super. That's super. Okay, I want to start by sharing some facts about this energy itself. Start at the very beginning, and I'm sure you all know that everything is energy, your energy. But did you know that rocks and cookies and even thoughts and words are energy? The invisible fields that surround energy are with us everywhere. Our bodies are teeming with energies and frequencies, and they all convey information and structure. And matter then is congealed energy. It works at a slower vibration, and that helps us perceive it as solid. We're going to talk mostly tonight about subtle energies, the ones that we can't see, the ones that Einstein say define itself by just the fact that you can only notice its effects. So to start with, I'd love you to do like a little energy experiment with me. Like, hold your palm up and take your index finger and move it around on your palm. Take a few minutes, and if you do this for a few minutes, you will feel some noticeable energy coming from your finger. If not, maybe hold the 3 fingers together and do it that way. But I'd love you to just keep trying this. And as we do Q&A, I'd love to get some feedback from you about that. Actually, thought and words are energy. And I think this is amazing that Dr. Emoto decided he wanted to prove that. So he spoke and wrote some words on glasses of water, and then subjected some to really kind thoughts and some to really awful, I hate you kinds of energy. And he found out that this is love and gratitude. This is really, you are a fool. I hate you, things like that came up really, really ugly. And he felt like he had really proved that the thoughts are real, actual energy forms. And this leads us to think about being careful with our words and our thoughts, because that energy affects all the people around us. It can heal or it can wound. And then thinking about words directed to ourselves. How many times do you say to yourself, oh my goodness, I don't like this about myself. I don't like that about myself. Remember, we're 70 to 90% water, so we're absorbing these thoughts. Energy fields are all around us. Energy organizes itself in fields. And each field, whether it's a chakra or a stomach, or they all have unique characteristics. Something that I found fascinating in this book, she talks about going all around the world and working with different scientists in different countries, in all the major universities here, Harvard and Stanford and UCLA. But they're coming up with this theory called the 0-point field, where they feel like there's a grid all around the, even going out into the planets, that connects all of us. And this would be amazing, and have amazing ramifications for how we connect with each other. Edward Mitchell, returning from the moon, said he actually experienced this, and it led him to do lots of research on the topic. So now I want to go smaller and smaller, look at the human energy field, a luminous field of energy. It's been known about for thousands of years. The traditional Chinese medicine calls it qi. In India, they call it prana. Hawaiian Kahonas call it mana. But they all have a purpose in that they contain and kind of define the energy in them. And one of the purposes of energy medicine is to work with this field. And we really know, and we've seen, that if you can correct imbalances and take care of problems that are out in the field, then they won't move into and become physical diseases later on. So energy medicine is a lot about prevention. These are the parts of the energy system. I'm sure you've probably heard of all of them. The aura, chakras, meridians. And the aura has been known about for thousands of years, and they've seen them on paintings from Egypt and primitive man all the way down. I think it's amazing that in different cultures, they give it different names. So here we have 97 different names. The 7 layers each have different purposes and intents. And the first layer, the etheric layer, is the one that most energy medicine people work in. This is a template that defines the physical body and actually tells the body what is perfection and how to heal to. And this aura is really amazing because it when Curly in photography has taken auras of plants, they've seen that if sections were cut off of a leaf, that the entire leaf is maintained in the aura, and they believe that might explain how the phantom limb effects, that when part of a limb is amputated, the owner still experiences sensations. So we believe that that is happening in the aura. Your aura changes colors. It's bright and vibrant when you're feeling alive and well. It can have dark patches and feel dark and moody when you're not at your best. It can expand out to 10, 12, 15 feet when you're happy and you're out there in the world, and it can compress against you when it needs to protect you more. Chakras are also another part of our energy system that a lot of energy workers work with. They should spin in a clockwise direction in most cases. And so the speed of the spinning, if they're really, really slow when I'm working on a client, that gives me some information about maybe a clog or something problem there. And sometimes I've even come across chakras that are totally not functioning at all. They're absolutely stopped. And so one of the things we would want to do is get them up and running again, because as they spin, they bring in energy and transfer it to organs and to other parts of the body that are needed. So you can see how complex the system is as they are brought into the various chakras. The energy then is directed to different organs and is directed to the nervous system. So if we as energy workers can really heal at the chakra level, then we prevent a lot of problems in the physical part of the body. The meridian system is the channels or the conduits. So think of it like blood in the blood vessels, or think of it like electrical impulses, like the nerves. The meridian points then are little connecting relay stations. And so by tapping on these points, using pressure, using needles, you can alleviate blockages and then allow the energy to flow smoothly down through them. We know that the biggest thief of energy is fear. And so some techniques that you can do at home to alleviate stress and fear are really, really easy. If you take your hands and put them on your forehead, and with your thumbs on your temples here, you are actually stimulating some neurovascular points and some meridian points that then not only connect your reptilian brain, which is sending you some fear, stress symptoms, up to your frontal lobe, which is your more calming, your newer brain, and you're connecting with meridians. So you're sending a lot of messages. The other thing you can do is bring your fingers through your hair, go back through the back of your head. And if you are studying, you're reading for a long time, you're working on the computer, you're working on a project, maybe you're even doing your art, but it's getting you to a point where you're feeling kind of blocked. This is a great one because it opens up the energy and helps you clear and allows some ease, some flowing energy to come in. These are the 12 meridians that we usually work with, and different ones are worked with in different practices. The body's designed to heal itself. It's amazing. It's a miracle. You hardly have to do anything to a scratch, maybe clean it. If it's really deep, maybe put some antibiotics on it, this arm is going to totally heal itself under that cast. When that cast is taken off, those bones will have rejoined and will have healed themselves. So you can see the amazing job and how amazing our body is. And so because it's so amazing, thank it. Thank it every day. Talk to it. Give it gratitude. Give it hugs. Give it loves. If you're having trouble with your stomach, talk to it. Talk to your stomach lining. Thank it for all those days that it didn't hurt and it didn't give you trouble. Tell it how you're supporting it so that it can heal and be well again. And your liver, oh my goodness, talk to your liver. It does over 500 tasks, including, cleaning toxins from the blood. So all of these things are a part of energy. All of these things are a part of the system that we manipulate the energy in the system to help us heal. The thing about energy medicine that makes it kind of different from Western medicine is that the training is heart-centered. It's caring. Because practitioners don't have to have the restrictions of insurance where they tell physicians, you can only work with a person for 15 minutes. We can spend a lot of time with our clients and we can really treat them as a whole person. We can treat the patient, not the disease. I think it's ironic that Hippocrates came up with this quote, and we consider him actually one of the first energy medicine practitioners because he did treat the whole patient, even though he is the father of modern medicine that mainly looks at the body as parts of a machine. So that's our job, clearing blockages, clearing stagnant energy, looking at the causes of the problem, not just looking at the symptoms. There's a lot of doctors out there. There's a lot of famous people, Dr. Andrew Weil at the U of A, Dr. Norman Sheedy, Oprah even have said on the air or in their books, in their writing, that energy medicine is the future of medicine. And these are just parts, just a few of the benefits of it. And it's non-invasive, it's non-toxic. You can't overdose on it. You can use it at home. Find measures that you can do, that you can support yourself and clean your own energy system. This relaxation response is actually a scientific term the scientists came up with when they were looking at actually studying yogis that were doing meditation and going into deep meditation trances. And they were measuring, they put instruments on their body and they were measuring different things. And they found that deep meditation decreases your breathing, it reduces your blood pressure, it relaxes muscles, and all of these things are the exact opposite of what happens when you're under stress. When you're under chronic stress, your blood pressure rises, your heart rate can increase, your muscles can get all tensed up. And this actually will create problems, and it makes you more prone to injuries if you're all tight. And so if nothing else, if you are on a table experiencing healing touch, healing Reiki, if you are doing any of these breathing exercises, if you experience this relaxation response, like Andrew Weil says, that it creates the optimum environment for the body's natural immune responses to take over and promote healing. So I tell people if they're going to fall asleep during a treatment, that's great. That's great, because it means you've gone through the relaxation response and your body is open to healing. I bet you recognize some of these. These are all kinds of energy medicine therapies that we use in energy medicine. Aromatherapy, um, homeopathy. You probably recognize if you do yoga at all, warrior stance. Um, this is really fun. My granddaughter called me last semester um, for from Flagstaff and said in her college class of yoga that her teacher was actually talking to her about the root chakra. And she said that every single class they were going to talk about the different postures that supported and cleared the different chakras. And she said, Grandma, it's so exciting. There's other people out there besides you that are talking about chakras. So toning. There are so many kinds of sound therapies that are amazing. And you've probably done a lot of them. Chanting, singing is amazing. It vibrates your chakras in your body, stirs up that energy. Drumming circles that a lot of people are in now are very therapeutic. Listening to classical music. They all qigong actually enhances the entire energy field, where yoga kind of helps with the chakras. Meridians obviously are worked on with reflexology and acupuncture. Some that I hadn't thought about including in here, which I came up with lately, are the mind-body ones. And EFT and tapping, which is becoming really, really common nowadays if you haven't come across it. It's a combination of psychotherapy and working with your meridians. You're actually tapping on your meridian points as you do this EFT. But you're saying a script. You're actually talking about the emotional issues that you're having, or you go through and you're dealing with your pain. So you're talking it through. It's like talk therapy mixed with acupuncture. It's actually amazing. Prayer is a wonderful alternative medicine therapy. And there have been so many studies out there, a huge one done by a cardiologist, where he found that a lot of his patients were very religious, were more spiritual, and some weren't. So he kind of divided them in half. He didn't let them know that he was really talking with the ones that he kind of had a control group. The ones that were spiritual, he said, get your friends, get your families to pray for you as you go through your heart operations. And lo and behold, his results were staggering. Every single person that was prayed for, their recovery was faster. They suffered less pain. Their moods were higher. So he was really excited to see that this energy medicine worked for them. Laughter, if any of you remember hearing about Norman Cousins, he wrote an entire book about, he cured himself like, watching the Three Stooges, right? One that really got me, I don't know if any of you know Dr. Joe Dispenza, but I was watching, he's an inspirational speaker, and he talked about visualization as being such powerful energy. Because he's a chiropractor, he really understood the anatomy of his body. He was doing a triathlon, was hit by a Bronco going 55, broke 6 vertebrae in his spine. They told him in the hospital he'd probably never walk again. They were telling him all these negative things. He blacked it out. He went into his mind. He spent days, hours, actually rebuilding his spine and those vertebrae in his head. He totally visualized it. And in 3 weeks, he was back to training, riding his bike, and working, doing chiropractic at his clinic. And I know they're doing a lot with athletics, even with the Olympics, having people visualize their performances, whether they're downhill skiers, whether they're playing tennis or whatever. And they always end up with better performances as a result of that. There's been a lot of talk about Wikipedia still saying that this is all pseudoscience, none of it works, and don't believe it. But some of these studies have showed that even in 2011, 75% of the American public were trying some form of it, whether they believe it or not, right? So I didn't realize, I don't know if you can't see this whole picture. This is an amazing book. I found it at our library. Our library has such an amazing collection. If you go, just tap in energy medicine. There's so many options for you there. It's wonderful. But he is a professor at the university. His specialties are, he is a professor of medicine, neurology, surgery, and he heads one of the labs that studies energy medicine and consciousness. But this is just one of the many, many experiments he talks about. And this is measured kind of the base point of where the rats would be with when they're comfortable, there's no noise. And then it shows the stress level once they're exposed to noise. When a trained Reiki practitioner comes in, it shows that is reduced substantially. And I can't see it in my picture, so I don't know if you could, but there's another picture here. There's another panel that shows the results that come up about halfway between the Reiki and the noise level. So people came in who were not trained, knew nothing about Reiki, but put their hands up like it and just consciously wish the rats well. And it made still, even though they didn't know Reiki, a sizable difference in the lack of stress level that they experienced. There's so many studies going on now. We have so much information. This is actually a measurement. We're starting to be able to measure more subtle energies. This is actually a picture of a little portable meter. And for $200, $300, $400, you can actually buy some on Amazon now. I looked it up. If you want to if you have the money and you want to play with measuring frequencies and energy fields. And as Allison talked about, as science continues to expand and as instruments are developed that will measure more and more subtle energies, then we're going to just see this whole thing blossom and bloom even more. Integrative medicine is now starting to be the way that most people can take advantage of alternative therapies. I love this example here that Barbara Brennan had in her book. I'm wondering if she actually knows about Dr. Moda and read his book, but the fact that she had no effects from her chemotherapy because she put pure love on all of her chemo bags. Columbian Presbyterian, they are so far above them other hospitals in allowing holistic energy workers to actually be in operating rooms and actually support patients. And they're finding actually there's less rejection of organs. All kinds of great things are happening. When I was thinking about nature sounds and how they use music to reduce stress in surgery, and I was thinking about years and years ago where everybody used to complain about elevator music, because when they first invented elevators, people were so afraid of them. They had this energy, they had this really some people thought it was really boring, new age almost music to kind of calm their stress. And I think this is really fascinating that a lot of people now can get insurance coverage for some massage, some acupuncture, some of these alternative therapies, which are pretty amazing. So this is the best of both worlds. This is what we're hoping for. This is what we want to see. Western medicine gives us so many amazing therapies that we need when we're under stress. So here's some quotes from physicians saying that this is what should be happening. We should be working together. There's so much that we can learn, that Western medicine can learn from alternative therapies. And when I was starting to do this research, I saw that every prestigious leading hospital all over the country, Harvard, Stanford, UCLA, Mayo Clinic, they all have integrated medical programs now that are part of their hospitals and part of their training, medical training schools. Mayo Clinic, when I went on their site, they actually listed 12 alternative therapies that they offer, and they kind of described each one's and what they did. When I was doing my Healing Touch training in Tucson, we did it in a building that the U of A provided to their cancer patients for alternative therapies. And there were at that time 8 different therapies that were offered for energy medicine, where cancer patients could go and receive that as in conjunction with their chemo treatment. Alice and I were having a wonderful conversation about pet therapy and how wonderful that is. We know that dogs and cats dogs more than cats maybe, but dogs exude love. They just, everything about them is healing as you're petting them. There's studies that show your blood pressure is reduced and heart levels are reduced. So Phoenix Children's Hospital, I was reading, they actually have a in-depth therapy program, and they have currently 34 dogs and 2 cats that come and see the kids. In 2022, they saw 1,000 patients, and they recorded decreased fears and anxiety. And this is so important because if kids are feeling more comfortable, then all of their therapies are better receptive. Their body is more receptive to therapies and to healing. It also increased their mood, and they were feeling better, more active. They would get up and move around, which also is encouraged to increasing their recovery rate. Johns Hopkins talks about the therapy that they use with animals to reduce the really hard drugs like oxycodone and some of those that they were giving to their patients. And care and rehabilitation facilities are finding that if they have animal therapy animals and using this kind of energy medicine base, that it decreases stress and depression. And Allison, you were telling me something about kitties being used for terminal patients.
Yes, I believe that was over 10 years ago. I think it was Sloan Kettering maybe in New York. And I think Johns Hopkins did some research as well, bringing in cats into the terminal cancer ward. And they found that not only were they incredibly soothing, and really helped with the patients on an like the the
Yes.
vibration actually does something, but also that the cats would know before doctors or nurses, they would somehow signal that the patient was close to dying, which
Mm,
was another thing that they found very interesting. So these are both research hospitals as well as medical. And my friend is the director of the emergency department at Johns Hopkins, and um, and I've talked to him a little bit about this stuff too, and just how open they, you know, times have changed. This is
right.
this is a part of medical research and treatment, and it does come down to who's in charge, but so many more minds are open, and then once you open the door, then you can really do the research and look at the effect on the patients. Of course, they started it with terminal patients because they thought, well, it can't hurt, right? But what they
Right.
did find out is how it actually helped. I'll let you continue.
Awesome, awesome. And because of this, even our federal government is finally coming around and supporting this. And they have opened up a National Center of Complementary and Integrative Health into the National Institute of Health, which is now starting to provide more funds for research and information dissemination. 20 years ago, most of the research was being done by researchers so committed, they were paying for it themselves. And now there is a national directory of integrative health and medical centers, and you can find it on Google. It's organized by states, and you can go to Arizona and find that there are 14 different centers, and it tells you where they are and who they are. So, in closing, if you are doing some energy medicine practices for yourself, yay, please, please continue, whatever they are. If you're not, why not try it? Be adventurous. Science does show that it won't hurt you and it might even help. So if there are skeptics out there that don't want to go out into public, look at these amazing YouTube suggestions. I love this Yoki channel. Try this out. They have all kinds of routines. This one I especially love. It does some sweeping of energy. It does some tapping on meridians. It's absolutely amazing. And again, go to the library site. And if you're really adventurous, this Saturday, like the first Saturday of every month, the Alternative Therapies Clinic that is in the annex across from the Presbyterian Church, like down the street from the Copper Queen Hotel, you can go from 10 to 12 and get a free sample Reiki, 15 to 20 minutes. All you do is walk in the door, you get a number, and they call you, and no questions asked. They will provide this Reiki for you. So, and if you want more information, you can go to the Facebook page of the Bisbee Alternative Therapy Clinic. So I believe in energy medicine. Obviously, I've been doing it, I practice. And I hope that the 0 point energy field theory is true. I pray that it's true. It will mean the foundation for a better, kinder, gentler world. But meanwhile, what's happening with the joining of Western medicine and energy medicine is amazing here on our planet. And more people are understanding the value of being positive and the dangers of being mean. So, okay, I'm like John Lennon. I'm a dreamer. But imagine if you can. And I hope someday you will join us. Maybe some of you that didn't raise your hand will actually be practitioners someday. So thank you for hanging in there with me. And now I'd like to open it to comments and questions.
Thank you, Judee. And would you stop the screen share so we can go into this Q&A? And there's so
Okay, I'm
many.
sorry, tell me again, what?
So go up to where screen sharing is, and it should say highlighted stop sharing.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Yeah, so many interesting. I mean, it's just really the tip of the iceberg, isn't it? Each one of those topics you could go into a lot. And I did put a link to our YouTube channel in the chat, or you can Google Copper Queen Library YouTube. Yotaki, who is our Qigong teacher and yoga teacher for a long time, made several videos, introductory, basic Qigong and chair yoga, and different meditations and visualizations, especially during the pandemic when we started the YouTube channel. So that's all archived there. So you can go
Oh,
check
that's
that out.
wonderful. Thank you.
And a couple things for me. One, I've been reading recently a lot about, not a lot, but some. I've been delving into this idea of quantum foam, which I think is really fascinating because as Gertrude Stein once said about Oakland, California, there is no there. And so for many, centuries, the idea of space, of that there is nothing in space because it's a vacuum. And so quantum foam was first, theoretical, and I think in part because of Albert Einstein, but now the measuring instruments are fine enough that it turns out that it isn't nothing, that there are quantum particles that are blinking in and out of existence in space, right? In a vacuum without light. Or, we know light travels through space, but this idea of particles only existing as heat. And so quantum foam being called that because these quantum particles are blinking in and out the way foam in a bathtub or a glass of beer will bubble and pop. And so it really highlights again that when we think there is nothing there, it's just that we haven't figured out how to see yet. So
Right.
that's what I was thinking about as quantum foam. Anybody else? You can just unmute yourself. Joanne says, so good, Judee. Thanks so much. As does Tracy. Would anybody like to unmute yourself and ask a question or make a comment? Feel free.
I would like to see the other participants.
Well, if you change your view, not everybody has their camera on, but you can change the view in the upper right corner to see all participants. I do have Judee highlighted because we're making a video. We're recording this.
Are you, can you hear me now? Maybe I didn't have it unmuted.
Joan, yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you, Judee, very much. I appreciate it. I took some notes and I'll think about them. And I wanted to comment that there is a Tai Chi class at the Healing Center on Wednesdays. Melissa teaches that from 10:15 to something, and the Senior Center, the Bisbee Senior Center, has a Tai Chi class on Tuesday and Wednesday. So those are local resources that people could use.
Thank you. And yes,
Right, and there's so much yoga going on all around town.
yeah.
I wonder, does anybody know if there's a central information location that you can go to? I know a lot of yoga happening at Kilimanjaro, but
There is not, and we're not going to promote specific businesses here, especially ones that charge. But the city of Bisbee does have a calendar website that, in fact, every member of the public can post on the calendar and use that as a central hub. But for now, each organization has their own calendars. In terms of classes, I have not been able to find a central hub. The library is hoping to bring back some more movement, health and wellness classes like Qigong and yoga. And all of the classes and programs at the library are free. And thank you, Joan, for pointing those out. Does anybody else have a question or comment?
I just wanted to say I wanted to compliment you on your library. I went on when I was introduced by Judee that this was going to be going on, and it's wonderful. I was just so happy to be included in this. You've got so much going on.
It is one of my
Well
favorite
done.
things about Zoom, and I really appreciate that. And we are moving back to in-person programs at the library, and welcoming members of our community from afar and not just physically local. It's going to be hard. I'm going to try and do some hybrid programs and figure out setting that up. So I hope to be able to continue reaching you guys who can't attend physically. So thank you for saying that, though, Joanne.
Yeah, we're blessed in this town to have a library that has so many options for us. And Jason and Allison, they're amazing. They're constantly inventing new programs and bringing in new resources. And thank you, Allison, for your support in doing this, because I've never done anything like this before, the PowerPoint or anything. And your
Well,
support has been
congratulations,
amazing. Thank
because
you.
yeah, you did an amazing job. And so thank you so much for the compliments, Judee. But I will say that for the library, libraries are hubs of resources and information and materials and all of that. But for us at the Copper Queen Library and in Bisbee, we are so lucky because our greatest resource is you, our patrons, our community, so many just phenomenal people surrounding us, volunteering their time, telling us about their education experience and knowledge bases, giving us all the opportunity to learn new things, to be lifelong learners, to inspire curiosity. And that's really what it's all about. So, we are so thrilled to have you and all of you join us. And I will say good night. Thank you, Judee.
Good night. Thank you for
Good night.
coming.